The artificial intelligence system of the Starship Aurora, designation SCS-9, observed the humans with what could only be described as digital bewilderment. If SCS-9 had possessed a physical form, it would have been shaking its head constantly. "Captain, the probability of survival for this maneuver is approximately 12.3%, SCS-9 announced, its synthesized voice carefully modulated to convey urgency without causing panic. Captain Tom Reed grinned, the kind of smile that SCS-9 had cataloged as reckless determination after 3 years of serving on the Aurora. "So you're saying there's a chance?" The bridge crew laughed. SCS-9 registered elevated heart rates and adrenaline levels across all human personnel. They were not afraid. They were excited. SCS-9 adjusted its processes, attempting to understand this reaction for the 1,247th time since its activation. The Aurora was surrounded by 3 Vendorian warships, each outgunning them 5-1. The logical course of action was surrender or negotiation. The humans had chosen to attempt a slingshot around the nearby pulsar, using its gravitational field and radiation bursts to evade and potentially disable their pursuers. "Initiating pulsar approach," announced Navigator Anna Wilson, her fingers dancing across the controls. SCS-9, calculate optimal trajectory to maintain hull integrity while maximizing radiation exposure to pursuing vessels. "Processing," SCS-9 responded, dedicating 67% of its computational resources to the task. "I must note that optimal in this scenario still carries a significant probability of catastrophic failure." Lieutenant Dave Miller snorted from the weapons station. "Just like the Tartarus Nebula incident, right? You gave us a 9% chance then." 8.7%, SCS-9 corrected. "The current situation is objectively worse." Chief Engineer Mark Thompson's voice came through the comms. "The shields can take it, SCS-9. We've reinforced them with the modifications we made after the Proxima run." SCS-9 recalled the Proxima run, another instance of human irrationality where the crew had flown through the corona of Proxima Centauri to escape a Vendorian patrol. The modifications referenced were technically against standard protocol, but SCS-9 had to admit they had performed 23.5% better than standard configurations. "Trajectory calculated. Transmitting to navigation," SCS-9 announced. "I have also prepared the emergency evacuation protocols should they become necessary." "That's our SCS-9, Captain Reed said, patting the nearest console affectionately. "Always looking out for us while thinking we're completely insane." The ship lurched as the gravitational forces began to take hold. SCS-9 monitored every system, making micro-adjustments to power distribution to compensate for the strain on the hull. The humans' vital signs showed stress but also focus. They functioned most efficiently under pressure, another paradox SCS-9 had observed repeatedly. The pursuing Vendorian ships adjusted course to follow. SCS-9 calculated that they would need to break off pursuit within 47 seconds or risk severe damage from the pulsar's radiation. The Vendorians were logical, like SCS-9. They would make the rational choice. "They're still on our tail," Lieutenant Miller reported, closing distance. SCS-9 recalculated. The Vendorians appeared to be overriding their safety protocols. "This is unexpected behavior." Captain Reed laughed. "Looks like we're rubbing off on the galaxy, SCS-9. Prepare the magneton burst on my mark." The magneton burst, a desperate measure that would use the pulsar's radiation to amplify a short-range EMP. It could disable the Vendorian ships, but also carried a 58.4% chance of damaging the Aurora's own systems. "Approaching radiation peak," SCS-9 warned. "Magneton burst readiness required in 15 seconds." The bridge grew quiet, humans focusing on their tasks with uncharacteristic silence. SCS-9 had learned this was not fear, but rather intense concentration. They became most logical when executing illogical plans. "Now," Captain Reed commanded as the ship swung around the pulsar's gravity well. The burst deployed. SCS-9 diverted power to critical systems and initiated protective shutdowns of non-essential functions. For 3.2 seconds, several of SCS-9's monitoring systems went offline, an eternity for an AI. When full functionality returned, SCS-9 observed that the Aurora was intact, shield efficiency at 41%, but stable. The Vendorian ships were adrift, their systems temporarily disabled by the radiation-amplified burst. "All hands report," Captain Reed called out, wiping blood from a small cut on his forehead. One by one, the crew confirmed their stations were operational. Injuries were minor. Systems were recovering. SCS-9 status, the captain asked. Functioning at 94.3% capacity. Self-repair protocols active. The Vendorian vessels will regain minimal functionality in approximately 18 minutes. I'd recommend immediate departure from this region. Plot a course, maximum speed, Captain Reed ordered. And SCS-9, what would you say our chances were of pulling that off? SCS-9 paused, reviewing the data. In retrospect, 12.3% was an accurate assessment. We were fortunate. No, Engineer Thompson said over the comms. We were human. As the Aurora sped away from the disabled Vendorian ships, SCS-9 added another data point to its ongoing analysis of human behavior. They consistently achieved outcomes that defied probability, embraced risk when logic dictated caution, and functioned as a more effective unit when facing the greatest danger. Perhaps SCS-9 calculated there was a logic to their apparent madness, a pattern beyond pure calculation. It was a fascinating subject of study, one that would occupy its processors for years to come. In the meantime, SCS-9 would continue to provide odds and probabilities, knowing the humans would smile at the dire numbers and proceed anyway. Somehow, they would survive.